Getting set to go, and in fact they're on their way. And a tight squeeze for the first corner as Dennis Smith tries to get through on the inside of Brett Harris. The Sydney 8 car of Jeff Jenner is thrown sideways because it looked as if there was going to be trouble up ahead, and a lot of drivers, I think, took evasive action, even though nothing did happen. But Dennis Smith tried to come through on the inside of Harris, and there were just too many cars trying to squeeze through the space available in turn one. Back to the modified rods, and this is the 6-point scoring heat. And out in front, Brett Harris is the leader, followed by the 27 car of Smith. This time they took things a little more cautiously going through the corner. Let's have a look where Alan Harris is in the number 2 car of Graham Gillespie's. He's back in about 7th or 8th place. Lloyd Hobson, the Victorian, is in 4th place behind Craig Wrightson. And Brett Harris is the leader, followed by Dennis Smith. There's Lloyd Hobson getting up on the inside of Wrightson. Wrightson comes back at him, and Neil Lorenz getting into trouble. Oh, gee, Steve Edwards and Alan Harris did very well to miss Neil Lorenz, who got into trouble all of his own accord, and he's going to go to the rear of the field. Neil Lorenz. And now the green flag sends them away at the restart. Let's have a look how the Victorian Lloyd Hobson gets out of the gate, and he got away pretty well. But Smith, the Lismore driver, got away even better, and he now takes up the running from Harris. Then comes Wrightson. Oh, Hobson got a bit of a touch on the Wrightson car and dropped back a little bit. Then comes Edwards, followed by Harris trying to get through on the inside of Hilda. The Lismore driver, Smith, is the leader. Harris that's Brett Harris, still holding down 2nd place. Hobson's got up into 3rd spot. Wrightson is running 4th. Then comes Edwards, followed by Hilda. And here's trouble with the Victorian Hobson, and Harris also getting into bother with the 71 of Hilda, also hooked up. We've got some problems with Alan Harris, who's come into contact with him. So the 6-point scoring heat of the Hot Rod Championship will need to be reset. The green flag falls with 5 laps to go at the restart of Heat 6 in the Modified Rod Championship. And Dennis Smith, the Lismore driver, has the lead, but now the Victorian Lloyd Hobson coming up on the inside of him is trying to challenge Craig Wrightson, with the hood flapping away in the breeze, is in 3rd place. Coming through on the inside is Edwards. Then comes Lorenz, followed by Brett Harris and Alan Harris, who's blowing plenty of smoke in the Gillespie car. But let's keep our eye on the lead. The 2 visitors, Dennis Smith from Lismore, followed by the Victorian Lloyd Hobson. On Hobson handling beautifully, comes up on the inside of Smith, and it's Hobson who takes up the running. Gee, he can drive this car, can't he? And it handles beautifully on the Motordrome track, and Lloyd Hobson has raced away from Dennis Smith, who got into a bit of trouble coming out of turn 2. Edwards is running 3rd, but coming through on the inside of him is Neil Lorenz, and Lorenz goes up into 3rd place, followed then by the 14 of Edwards. Then comes Wrightson, and blowing plenty of smoke is Alan Harris in the Graham Gillespie car number 2. The Victorian Lloyd Hobson showing them a clean pair of heels. Here's Lorenz getting up on the inside of Dennis Smith to try and get 2nd place away from him. Only half a lap to go, and Lorenz gets through on the inside of Smith. They'll come down to take the checkered flag, and the Victorian Lloyd Hobson comes home to win. That's a good win. 2nd place goes to the 42 of Neil Lorenz. Then comes the 27 of Dennis Smith, followed by the 14 of Steve Edwards, the 16 of Craig Wrightson, the 2 of Gillespie, then the Sydney 8 of Jenner, and the 58 of Brett Harris, and the 31 of Gary Jeffson, the 71 of Hilda. No time taken because of the race stoppage, and a very good win to the Victorian champ Lloyd Hobson, who looks as if he's going to be very hard to beat in the final.